Here's the story. Thing is, it's not a story, it really happened. I started driving a breakdown truck recently. You know, needs must. You gotta feed yourself and pay the rent and what have you. So I've been working long, probably about 3 or 4 weeks, and I get a job from the New Forest to pick somebody up and take them out. Now I'm not going to tell you where, because this person still lives and they might be identified if I say too much, but we'll say to Berkshire. So I go out to this address where this person, and it's obviously, it's now I can't remember if it's a Miss, a Ms or a Mrs, but anyway, it's a lady. And I turn to where she is, and she's got this old, really old car, like about, I don't know, 20 years old, and it's packed up and it needs recovery. So she's a wizened old thing. She looks probably in her, certainly in her late 70s, maybe early 80s. I felt quite sorry for her. She looked really drab and unhappy. So towed her car up onto the back of the truck and started taking her home. And she sat in the back and she was very quiet, didn't talk a lot really. As we near to where she lives, she says it's in the back of beyond, in the middle of a wood. And I'm thinking, oh dear, I hope I can get the truck up there, because it's quite a big truck. So we eventually end up going from like an A road to a B road to a small road to a road that said lane to this really small lane, and we're in the middle of a load of woods. And she said, you need to take the next left, I'll show you where it is, because it's up kind of a grassy little lane, she says, and at the top it's a bit shaped like a T, so I live there, so it doesn't go anywhere, but you'll be able to drop the car off there. So I said okay. So I eventually get up to where I've got to drop her car off, and the trees are that close, they're touching the side of the mirrors, and it really is tight. So we get there and I do a little bit of manoeuvring, and she gets out the truck as I get out to let her car, drag her car off the back. And she suddenly looks about 15 years younger and 6 inches taller. And I thought, oh, maybe I didn't look at her properly when she got in. But it was dusk when she got in, and it was dark when I dropped her off. Anyway, so I'll get her car off, and she's got to make a payment, because the car club she's with, she's only got like roadside assistance, so she has to pay to be towed back. So I said, I'll just send this text off to the office to see if you can pay by credit card or debit card, whichever way you want. I said, and then I'll arrange it. So she said okay. So I said, so I wrote the text out, and I turned to her as she was standing at my side to say, that's what I'm sending the company, so she knew what I was writing. But she wasn't there. And I thought, oh my God, where's she gone? And I thought, I hope she hasn't fallen underneath the truck, because it was a little bit damp from dew and what have you. So I get my torch and I'm having a look under the truck, and I can't see her anywhere. So I'm frantically worried about this woman and what's happened to her. So I was showing my torch around, and she's, this place where she lives, it's got, there must have been old buildings in the garden at some point, because all the walls have fallen down. They're not brick walls, they're like stone walls. But she's in the middle of this garden about 20-30 feet away. And I thought, well, she couldn't possibly have got there from by me.
Take the third exit.
Oh, the roundabout, take the third exit. So I said, yeah, I said, I've got through to the firm now. They'll talk to you and you can make your payment. Well, it must have taken her 15 to 20 seconds to walk from this garden to go through the little maze kind of area to get back to me. So I was thinking, God knows how she got in there. So anyway, she talks to them, gives them the card number and everything, and pays the bill. And she said, right, are you ready to go now? And I said, yeah. So she said, well, I need to walk down the drive. I'll go in front, obviously, so I've got some lights, because I'm going to close the 5-bar gate, which I've got to mention is a 5-bar gate, about 100 feet down the lane back towards the road. But remember, this is it, hers is the only house up there. So I said, okay then. I said, I'll just reverse up and I'll do this in 2 manoeuvres. So as I turn, I've now got to turn like 90 degrees to the left to go up the lane, through the gates. And the spill from the side of the light, so I could see her walking up the lane in front of me. And then I could put my full lock on.
Third exit to B3081.
I put my full lock on, and she's now in the full glare of the lights of the vehicle. And about, like I say, about 20-25 feet ahead of me. And she disappeared. Like in Star Trek. She just dissolved in front of my eyes. It was unbelievable. So the hairs on the back of my neck went up a bit, at this point, and I thought, well, no, this can't be right. This can't be right. So I've got all the vehicle lights on, and I thought, well, I'll drive up towards the gate really slowly in case she's fallen over, because like she's still an old woman, either she was suddenly 10 or 15 years younger. And as I drove towards the gate, I opened the windows up on both sides of the truck at the front, and I've got the orange lights flashing away, and my back, I've got a big light on the back for illuminating in the dark, and this woman's nowhere to be seen. So I drove past the gate, and I thought, oh well, you know, I'm just going to get and make my way home. Like I say, I've got the big lights on the back, and they really illuminate. And as I got down to the end of the bit of road where I was driven up to her place, there's a real steep bit at the end, and just before I went over the end, I thought, well, I'll have a look back in the mirror and see if she's closing the gate. Well, the bloody gate was already closed, wasn't it? And that was me. Panicked, to be honest. And I did something I wouldn't normally do, because I don't mind going out in the dark, and I don't mind the night time. But as I drove on, got off her drive and onto this small country lane, I put the lights on. I've got an LED in the crew cab thing where the customers sit. I put this really bright LED on to make sure she wasn't sitting in any of the seats behind me.